All right, guys, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Shadow Mark podcast. You can tell I still have to think about it because I haven't quite out. But here we are. My name is Derek Thompson. I'll be hosting tonight, as always, and with me is Mr. TJ Davidson,
What's up, guys?
and I've got special guest
Don't
co-host
get-
here, my dad. Uh,
You're on you. Don't look at me.
but he'll be around here. And then we're talking today with the guys from over at the Contagion Effect, and I've been really excited about this one. We were on their podcast not too long ago, and it was a great time. We had so much fun talking, so I'm excited to have them on our podcast and kind of put them in the hot seat tonight and do that whole deal, you know. So I'll let them introduce themselves. It's Eric and Mike, and you guys go ahead. You can pick who starts first.
Eric will. He looks like he's melting anyways. No, you go, Eric.
Hey guys,
There you go.
my name is Eric Mello, part of the Contagion Effect with my good buddy Mike. Thanks for bringing us on. We appreciate it, man. We'd love to, in our show, we like to talk about veterans and mental health and PTSD and the whole gamut, veteran suicide. And the great thing is about what we do is it's the wormhole. We go from one to another, and this guy gets hooked up with this gal, and this gal turns us on to this person. And so, here we are, you're sending the love back, right? So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chief, what you got over there, man? What you got over there? You got some scores? You got some basketball scores over there?
Dang. See, talk about stalker. There's your stalker, Derek.
Yeah, I know. This is it.
He's watching everything.
It sticks out, but yeah, little did he know he can be seen in the film right now. So
Well, he said he wanted it on you anyways, right?
yeah, problem is we both fit in the screen. So
Some svelte young men. Some svelte young men. I guess, is it my turn, Eric? That's all you got?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna jump
That was-
over you.
that was
like we
short.
usually do.
Okay.
Well,
all
I
right.
mean, we'll get it. Okay, so I drive a truck for a large grocery store chain who might be merging with another grocery store chain. Day job, and I just got back on the road. I was working in the yard for I've been driving for like 23 years, and the thing about truck drivers is we can talk because we know everything. And so, we just kind of were sitting around one night, had like 4 or 5 guys on. I'm like, man, we need a podcast. And then literally we're like, oh yeah, we'll do it. Oh, we'll do it. And then it never happened. And then literally, we should get a podcast going. We should talk about veterans, and just when we get on the phone, at that point, we never really got to talk a lot. And so when we would, it would be like an hour. We'd be on the phone for like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm like, all right, dude, like that's a whole podcast. And cut, send it to tape, like let's do it. So that's kind of what
Absolutely, man.
we got going on there.
Yeah, where our conversations would literally end with "and cut" because we're like, yeah, we're gonna do this someday.
heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
I like the motivation there.
yeah. I mean, it's fun. I mean, we'll get into a little bit more, but yeah, this is my therapy. I say in our show, this is my therapy. I didn't go to therapy after my dad had committed suicide. My dad was a Navy vet and spent 8 or 9 years on the USS Cleveland and developed pulmonary fibrosis. And he just didn't want someone to take care of him. So, in his world, he thought that was the best avenue. And so I've always thought, man, was there a sign? Like, did I not catch something? Because there's part of you where you're like, oh, it's my fault. I didn't see this. Yeah. I'm gonna turn my mic around here. Hey, that's the switch, dude. Remember? There. Okay, now I can hear myself better. Thanks, Mike. So
That was
yeah,
great.
it's
That's called production right there.
yeah, yeah,
Good
right.
catch. Good catch.
That's why that's why he runs the show. That's why he has 2 computers and I only have the MacBook Pro,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but
I'm
no,
not even that fancy.
Yeah, he so like I said, he did what he thought he had to do, and it was one of those things where I didn't go through therapy, but coming over to I get to go to my buddy's house and do a show with him, and just throughout the week, getting veterans and guests and stuff. It's therapy because you run into so many different obstacles, and it's actually helped me out a lot. It really has. So, again, I appreciate you guys bringing us on and letting us talk a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're
Hell
excited to have you on, man. It's all about getting to hear everyone else's stories, and like we've kind of talked about, we're not just here for veterans. We're here for everybody who
Yeah.
deals with mental health and helps with mental health. And you guys are out there doing that. So I love that that's what you guys are doing. I love to know that there's still people that care.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so for me, it was like Eric said, I mean, we actually met a long time ago. We were both part of a youth football program, and he was a cheer dad and had 2 daughters out there. And I had 4 kids. I had 3 boys and a cheerleader go through, and we ended up running the whole program together. And so we became really close talking, and then
We kicked ass.
yeah,
We kicked ass.
dude, he was so involved in football. He literally got fired from a job because he was
Yeah.
more involved with football than doing his
did.
job.
I
He would
did.
literally leave,
I did.
like he'd drive his truck from his old job to the football field to help us unload because he
Yeah.
wanted to make sure he was doing his part. And he actually, unfortunately, got fired from the
That
job.
was actually one of the reasons why they fired me too, because I took equipment off route past our DC and went. But I'm like, dude, like I had to go make sure that the Cisco. Screw it. That's why I had to make sure the Cisco delivery got there.
You
I had
don't
to
work
make
there
sure.
anymore.
Yeah, I don't work there anymore. A bunch of bums.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't gotta
bunch
worry
of
about
bums.
it.
What are they gonna do? Fire you again?
Yeah, right.
But it just shows you, I mean, that's how committed he was, to the kids and to the program and so that showed me a lot, even though it sucked, I felt bad he got fired.
Hi, Cam.
But then we were, over time, we've always talked and hung out and then we, like Eric was saying, we were just having a conversation. We are like, dude, let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
And so it just started. We didn't have we literally had no idea what we were going to talk about at the beginning. I mean, we got Larry Hankin. I don't know if you've gone back and watched that episode or who Larry Hankin is. We were actually able to get Larry Hankin, who's he's the skinny guy who was supposed to be the original, what's his name from Seinfeld, with the skinny
Yeah.
weird guy.
He slides in,
I know who
opens
you're
the door and
talking about.
slides in.
Yeah, but
You
Larry
remember that one?
Hankin, I forgot. I'm not a huge Seinfeld guy, but Larry Hankin, he's the guy in a ton of movies, but he's never had those super huge starring role. So we got him on. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
We got kudos from him because
Yeah, I
he's
was-
been
I was-
probably interviewed thousands of times, and we asked a question that he'd never been asked. So
Yeah.
he was like,
Awesome.
"Wow." So we're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we're kind of good at
Yeah.
this,"
Mike's like, hey, so since you're like taller than most of the movie stars that you work with, like, how's that feel? Like you kind of outcasted yourself, right?
Yeah, how is getting a job? And he's
Yeah.
like, wow, I've never been asked that, because he's
Yeah.
like 6'4", but for Hollywood, you got Tom
tall.
Cruise, who's like 5'6", 5'7", or whatever. So that kind of made us feel good. And then we had a buddy of ours from the youth, and this is why I told the story about the youth football program, was we had a buddy of ours who we just met him. He came to watch practice one day, and we were very much about other teams coming and watching our practices. So we were kind of like security as well as running the organization. So we see this guy, and he big old buff dude, but he had a major limp. Yeah, it was Chief. But we went walking up to him. We're like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" And it ended up being Nino Gray, who we had on our show a couple times, who was an Army veteran. He was actually hit with an IED, blew up his ankle. His ankle's completely reconstructed. And he was actually given a house by some organization. I forget what organization, if it was Wounded Warrior or somebody else, in our town. And our town at the time was only like 6,000 people. I know in the Midwest, that's probably a big town still, but in California, that's a tiny town. So he just ended up in our town. So we had him on our show because he was a veteran. He actually works for the Seahawks, for the Seattle Seahawks, and he
was
runs.
nominated last year, for their wounded, for the salute to service.
Yeah, for the NFL. He was the
For the
Seattle
NFL.
Seahawks choice to be salute for service, salute to service for the NFL. Unfortunately, he didn't win, but it was pretty cool. And then after Nino, we were just like, dude, we should really, because we talked
Focus.
we were doing dads. We were talking about dads.
Truckers.
We were talking about truckers. We
like random pizza parlor owners.
yeah, well, not so random. We know them, but
Yeah, we do know them.
and it started getting into like we started talking a lot about mental health, and we're like, man. And then like we got another guest that was a veteran, and then another one, and we're like, dude, we should. This is kind of our thing, and we want to make it very clear. I think we try to say this every time on our show. Eric and I are not veterans. We don't believe in stolen valor or anything, but the reason we love our veterans so much is because, Eric went through it with his dad, with his suicide. My dad was a Marine Corps veteran, did 2 tours in Vietnam. Never shared any stories with me. He was one of those Vietnam veterans that just didn't. But with my youngest son, they were like best buddies because he helped raise him, told him a lot of the stories. So then I kind of heard some stuff through my son, and and I learned to grow up loving the Marine Corps, and I'm not into men, but the dress blues are the best uniform out there, just
Yeah,
saying.
absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Not because I'm biased or anything.
Yeah, but dress blues are so I just, and my dad was a Marine, my uncle's a Marine, now my son's talking about possibly going in the Marine Corps, so we'll see. But that's where
how's that gone?
I don't know. He's in because we had Schaefer and Kat, and Kat's an active Air Force. She's actively in the Air Force right now. So she helped me because we weren't having much luck with the Air Force recruiter. And so Kat finally got the Air Force recruiter involved. But my son's kind of he's trying to finish his senior year fun, right?
Oh yeah.
So he's kind of focused on that right now. But then
he had
Tom,
a good year too.
yeah, I mean, he won a state championship for football, so it's like he's kind of living out, what a great way to finish your senior year, win a state championship. So
that's incredible.
Something he can rub into his 2 older brothers.
I think he had more combined wins this year than they both did.
He had
whole career.
Let's see, 4, 4, 4. So that's 12, 13. It's really close because I think they went 13-2 to finish. But my 2 sons, their combined 4 years, they had 13 wins in football, and his combined, I think, is 20 something. So
that's
for
incredible.
his 2 varsity years. So yeah,
that's incredible, man.
So that's kind of, that's where Contagion Effect kind of started, and then it's just been Eric. I have to say, Eric's been amazing. Getting some of the guests we've gotten has been amazing. So
yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. Like, how do you guys pull in these vets? How do you meet up to get out there and reach out?
At the beginning, it
He's
was,
a
to be honest
stalker.
with you, no, for sure. That's 100%. It's social media right off the bat, and then it was you join this group, join that group, and at the early beginning, it was jumping on like LinkedIn and going through there, and then once you kind of get a few people on, when we came across Shannon Book and Scotty Hastings, our whole music vibe kind of turned that way a little bit. And then, hey, I got this buddy that wants to talk to this buddy. And now like we're getting a few emails here and there. I'm like, by no means are we making money. Cause to us, it's everyone likes to make money, but it's not the main focus. The main focus is to keep the stories going, to bring awareness and to put the awareness in action. Right. And so like for me, I'll just shoot a message, like even on TikTok, I'll shoot a message. Hey man, love your stuff. Love your content. If you ever want to talk about it, let me know. Like I got a platform that we can get your message out there. So that's basically it. Beginning with like the actor with Larry Hankin, with some guy reached out in some group. He's like, oh, hey man, I'm a promoter. He goes, I got this email call. I'll call you tomorrow. Blah, blah. And Mike's like, yeah, okay. He's just going to get us stuff. And he didn't ask for no money or nothing. And basically,
but I think it was coming. I think it was coming. I think we were getting, it was like the drug dealer. You get like 1 or 2 free, and then he was going to bug us for money.
Because he had said something.
Where can I find this drug dealer who's giving out free drugs?
It was free guests at that point.
Yeah. Well, I give you a little bit, but hey, you pay in the end, right?
I don't know nothing
So-
about what they're saying.
So yeah, basically, that's just like work, shooting emails, and now that I'm back on the road, we got a couple people. We have some, as the kids say, irons in the fire right now. So, I think on our side, for us, I think now it's getting out there, and like I want to out there things, right? Like we did a remote at Contentment Brewing in Modesto. It was our first live. Mike was really like, I don't know, it's a brewery, right? Brewery.
It was
And they had
loud.
live music. And it was National Beer Day. It was Thirsty Thursday. And it was phenomenal. Like the audio was great. And I guess I'm going to give a little shout out to Mikey because he does a great job dealing with all this stuff behind the scenes. He's like, hey, you want to run the show? If I'm not going to be here, I'm like, no, dude, like, no. Like I'll do a YouTube live or an Instagram live, but it's just the intimidation factor of getting back there and doing it. And so I have got this little setup here. And so, I'm not.
We got to get your internet.
Your
Your internet's still got to get better.
Why is it not working that well?
It's you're a little cloudy.
Oh, come
But
on.
I don't know that it's something you could control, but it's all right. We
It
still
just
see your
looks
beautiful
good, man. Doesn't even
face.
know.
looking good.
Yeah, we still see your beautiful face.
Well, I mean, I can. The face ain't it. I'm just saying.
Chief thought of his name. It was Kramer.
Yeah,
Kramer,
it was
yeah,
Kramer. Yes,
exactly.
that's
Cosmo Kramer.
yep.
Cosmo.
And
Kramer.
Larry
Yep.
Hankin was originally supposed to be that character, and something changed right before they did it. So,
That
but yeah,
whole thing's
he's
just amazing to me. Like I love that. That's where you started.
well. Even we have like in our town, we have another little podcast that they do. They do movies. Like they just constantly talk about movies, and they saw that and they were so jealous because they're like,
Yeah.
dude, we do all this movie stuff. You don't even talk about movies, and you get this star. Like, yeah. I'm like, so I ended up sharing his information, and so they got him on, and they were all excited and appreciative of that. So
I didn't even
they'll.
watch their episode. Was any good?
I didn't watch. They're just all over the place, so it's a little.
Apparently I should
It's
go on
hard for me to
application in there.
judge. It's hard for
Yeah.
me to judge.
Well,
I got the squirrel thing going.
It is. I have a hard time listening to more than I don't like hearing my own voice, so listening to more than 20 minutes of anything's hard for me.
And that
Yeah,
was
that's
one thing I'd
reasonable.
said. We're 54 episodes down, and I think I've literally listened to maybe 15 minutes of our entire show. Just can't do it. I just, oh my gosh, like did I
I'm
say
telling
that?
you,
Oh
man,
my God.
I legit sat there at work. I inspect potatoes now, and it's an awesome job.
Way
let me
safer
tell
than
you.
firefighting.
Yeah,
way
right?
safer.
Yeah. And I do trash.
You'd
now,
be
so
surprised.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I've only cut myself a few times cutting potatoes, but but no, I sat there and I listened. I went like on a 3-day binge listening to your guys' show. And I
Oh,
loved
wow,
it,
that's
man.
awesome.
It was incredible. I love what you guys are doing. I think you do an
thank you.
amazing job at it. And it's just great seeing you guys get out there and do this. I mean, it's great hearing
Yeah.
the stories, and hopefully a lot more people listen to it and check it out and pull more from it, because you can learn a lot from all the guests you guys have had. It's incredible hearing their stories, man.
Well, it really has been fun, and for us, we started earlier, and you're like we start asking the questions like, okay, what was your job, and then we kind of learned the MOS thing, right? And then
The lingo.
we're trying to learn the lingo, but we
Yeah.
also want to be realistic in the fact that we never want to portray ourselves as vets. We want to be very realistic. We love the vet community. We do anything for them. If a vet's having an issue, like we had somebody where Eric got a call from somebody that was a listener of ours, and they had a buddy that was having a problem, and Eric reached out to Dave because the guy was over on the East Coast, and Eric reached out to Dave from 22 Mohawks, who I know you guys just had not too long ago, and asked Dave for some help, and then we worked on getting the guy some help. I mean, Eric mainly did it because he was kind of the middleman on that, but I mean that's our
Yeah.
overall goal.
Yeah, it was a good story. I mean, it ended up being a good story. I know he got some help, and he was moving out to Arizona actually, which it was. I'm in the yard. I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, "Hey, Mike, like, check this out, dude. Like, what do you got going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, no." He goes, I got it. So, like I tell the story, went from Tracy to Houston, back to Tracy, up to Seattle, back to Washington, to Virginia City
And then
Virginia,
Massachusetts.
then Massachusetts, then back. It was awesome to pull the resources that we have, and no, it's a good thing. And to be honest, I think it's the second one. I think we had another one too, which one of our listeners that jumped on last time, Andrew Junker, it was one of his buddies had reached out, and he's like, "Hey, dude, like, this guy's in a bad way." I'm like, "Well, hey, here, like 988, like, first off, if he doesn't get anything there, like, give me a call and we'll take care of it, man. We'll find something somewhere somehow."
Absolutely. So first off, what's the learning curve been like for you guys, kind of learning the veteran or military lifestyle, the lingo, all that comes with it? It's a whole different world when you start diving into it, like really understanding it. How's that learning curve been for you guys?
Well, it's been interesting. Like I mentioned, MOS, at least for the most part, MOS fits across all the branches, right? But then we start finding, we talk to somebody about this particular thing, which is definitely different in the Marine Corps versus the Army, or like learning. We just learned the other day that Marine Corps is doing away with MPs, and they're gonna basically, I guess, the Navy's gonna run their MPs for them. It's things like that, and just using you guys, using the veterans, and just kind of holding on to that information, and every once in a while, if something's said, I'll try to look it up real quick, try to Google it or find any information. But I also want to be careful not to get too much into those weeds, because first off, yes, the veteran community may understand, but if we're also trying to impact, a greater audience, we gotta probably stay so much away from that technical stuff. So I think it's just more, for me, it's been balancing it, but it's been using the people, using our own guests. Like Tom has been a huge asset for me right now. Tom Ettinger, who we actually just had on Thursday. Again, we've had him on 2 other times. He helps me a lot with, sometimes if I have a question, I'll be like, "Hey, dude, I don't want to sound stupid, but what's this?" And he's like, and he'll explain it. So that's kind of where
I have to do that with TJ.
Yeah,
man,
that's hard. So, like, I went from the Marine Corps, and then I joined the Army National Guard, and sometimes I feel like I moved to another country and I'm trying to learn their language.
right.
You know what I mean? So I definitely understand that.
Well, and that's why I think we try to be careful, because even between the branches, the lingo's different. I mean, when we had Schaefer and Tom and
Schaefer, Tom, Cat,
and then your neighbor Carlos,
yeah,
who is also, so Schaefer and Carlos were both Army veterans, and Tom was Marine Corps, and then they were talking about the different duties. Like, I guess if you're sick or something, you get some kind of special duty, and it's called different things between the Marine Corps and the Army.
Yeah.
And you're kind of thought of being a pussy or something. That was kind of the thought of it, if you were given that duty. And that's kind of where we learned too, is just, if you guys, it's like learning another language. If you kind of put the words into context, you start to learn, oh, that's what that means.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different
incredible
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, the one that I really grabbed a lot from was Scott DeLuzio. He was an Army Reserve veteran, and he saw some time in Afghanistan. And he had written a book, and he has a podcast. I'm sorry, it's called Drive On with Scott DeLuzio. And some of the stuff that he was talking about, like survivor's guilt, learning how to cope with stuff outside of being in the military. It was insightful for me. Just the way that he came across and the way he kind of delivered it. It was he had a good speaking voice for me to be able to kind of keep track. And that was, so Scott DeLuzio was probably one of the, I learned something from every podcast or from every show. But for some reason that kind of stuck with me, and we've had bigger audiences for guests and stuff. We've had Lori on.
Sean Laurie.
Yeah, we've had a lot of different people on from a lot of different sections, and really, some that are fresh out of the military, and some that have been out for 5 or 6, 7 years that are, still trying to adjust. So I think, I always have a takeaway from every show, and I kind of get giddy and like Mike said, I get lost because I'm sitting there listening, and that's where Mike's a good interviewer. Like he's got it down and he doesn't jump around very much. Cause I'll take us off on, a left turn and go as far as I can and then be like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, where'd you grow up in high school? Getting back to something.
Literally me and TJ both.
Yeah. Well, Eric will be, we'll start. All right. Where'd you die? Okay. When were you born? He'll go beginning, straight to the end and then come back to the beginnings. And he always kind of makes fun of me because, my thing is I always want to learn about the person we're talking, because then I think if you kind of learn where they came from, then you start to understand why they go through the things they go through, or
absolutely.
So I've always been a big fan of whether that's entertainment or not, I don't know, but to me it's interesting because if you grew up, like Tom, for example, grew up in New Jersey, but now he lives in Arkansas and he's a 20-year retired vet. It's like, dude, you grew up in New Jersey, you didn't move back, and now he loves, the country life. So
yeah,
it's just
fantastic.
like, go figure. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you're able to stay like chronological and actually learn stuff, because me and TJ bounce around so much.
Yeah, but it's still genuine. I mean, that's the thing. I think it's just as long as you're genuine and you're being who you are. I mean, and if that's you, then that's you.
Well, like I said, we just like to have natural conversations, man.
Yeah.
The stigma around mental health is that you can't talk about it, that you can't have a good time. And we don't believe that, I think the best way to change it is just to talk, just to have fun and enjoy the time that we get and learn about each other and build friendships and relationships with one another. I think that's the best thing that we do.
Absolutely.
Well, a lot of times talking about it too, like Derek said, no one really wants to talk about it because it's just kind of taboo or whatever. And really, sometimes that's all somebody really needs is just get that off their chest, or have somebody that'll listen to them, or maybe somebody that's experienced the same kind of shit as them, so that they can relate, And you'd be
there's so much stigmatism about that, and like, there's all you always see on little reels and stuff is nobody wants to hear your problems, and half the people don't give a shit, and the other half are glad that you have them.
Right.
But that's why we don't heal, especially as men. We're like, I'm a piece of shit. I may be cool on a show and stuff like that, but I'm kind of a piece of shit. I'm kind of an asshole. I'm the way I talk to people, I can be kind of a dick. Yeah, no. And I mean, I get that. And it's sad because I'm really harder on my family and my kids than I am. We just went to last night. I'm talking to every guy in there. Hey, I do that. Well, that's a cool man, And then my kid's like, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? Did you do this? Like, those are things you need to get done. And before I even said, well, hey, how was your day? How many milkshakes did you do at Robert's Ferry Nut Company today? Didn't like nothing like that. Hey, you left the light on. Go turn the light off. So it's one of those things where I'm just a jerk on the outside, but they know that I need to send them out into the world where they can function and not be a piece of crap. And I've gotten pretty lucky. I mean, I can send them off and know that they're going to be respectful and they're going to do what they're told to do, and they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
If they can deal with their dad, they can deal with anybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth.
That's my goal
for
as a father, because I'm a real asshole. So usually I'm not too worried about other people my kids have to meet.
That's why my kids go to their mom for everything.
Right.
As a father, how's that come into play for you, Mr. Thompson?
I feel like the Chief's just such a nice guy. You can't say anything bad.
No, I'm an ass.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah.
No, we remember the story.
You ask my wife, you ask my kids, my wife tells me on a regular basis, trying to keep me kind of lined up, but she tells me, she said, you'd never talk to anybody else like you talk to us or to me. You'd never say that or treat somebody like that, but yet you find it's okay at home.
I
And-
represent that statement.
And I just, it's like, she says, you don't even realize it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I think I treat you like gold, but I don't. I'm
Yeah.
terrible that way. I don't know what it is, but
I think you just have like expectations and standards for you and your
Yeah.
family.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is
You
what
know
they're
you
trying
can't
to do.
control
That's-
you can't control the people outside. So that's where it comes. And Chief, I'm exactly the same way, and I get in trouble for that all the time. So
yeah.
and that just tells
Yeah,
you
it's-
this is a small group. That probably happens a lot more.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a normal parent thing where you hold expectations for your family because that's part of that group that you control.
No, you think
Yeah.
you control.
Well, that you have some control like
Until they move
you have
across the country
you
and
have
get married.
yeah, you have a hand in their existence.
An influence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, an influence. So I think that we all do that because we can hopefully mold them into doing better than us.
Yeah.
And I think that's all any of us want is
Yeah.
for our kids to do better than us. And-
100%.
Yeah, and I set my
how
kids
do you
up for
teach them?
success because it's kind of hard to not fucking do any better than I did. So you're welcome.
See, there's his one sentence for the show, and it's a good one.
That's gold right there.
That's
That
always
was-
good, man.
Dude, that's a clip right there.
I was just gonna say, what's the?
for
I was
sure.
just gonna say,
Look
what's
at-
the minute mark right there? You're gonna
Yeah,
have to
what's
save that.
what's
shit.
the time? You
Yeah,
gotta go post that as a
It's
short.
31. It was 31.
31,
man.
perfect.
Golden
Be
TJ.
All right, end of
gonna-
show.
Yeah, he comes
And
in clutch.
cut.
Yeah, and cut. He comes in clutch when he needs to, man. But well, I just had this conversation. I think it was 2 days ago. I think what was that, Thursday or something? Whatever. It doesn't matter when it was, but and this was something I kind of want to pick your guys' brains on, and it's something because I felt like I learned a little bit, but I didn't learn enough that I wanted to learn. When I talked about it, I was talking to a friend about, we were talking about mental health, and we were talking about how veterans specifically and firefighters and everyone, how they've gone through very extreme situations. And Eric, you've gone through a lot too. I know you have. Mike, I'm sure you have too. But when we look at PTS and we look at doctors and how they deal with things, they try to like put up a wall to hide you from what you should be dealing with. How do you think we like fix that? Because to me anyway, it seems like we're not doing the right thing. We're treating symptoms and we're not treating the root cause.
Mhm.
Like, what do you guys think? How do you deal with everything you've been through?
Go ahead, Eric.
Well, first of all, have more shows and have more people on as guests. That's because we're talking about it, right? That's
Right.
that's the blanket answer for me is talk about it. Have a pill ain't going to do nothing for you. It's just going to take care of you're addressing the symptom. You're not taking care of the situation, right? Or sorry, you're taking care of the situation, not the symptom. Being open and honest. That's a hard thing for people to do, to be open and honest. It really is because, like I said, you get like if I go to work tomorrow and sit in the break room and talk to 20 drivers, oh, this guy's being a bitch. Oh, this guy's doing that. Oh, this guy. So again, I can't compare to what the trauma is other than just talking about it to people that give a shit, to be honest with you. That's the blanket thing. I can sit here on the podcast and talk, and the five of us will have a great conversation, and I'll feel good about myself tonight. It's a daily thing. So, I would love to have a podcast every day to talk about it, but to stay focused and to just kind of, talk about it. That's my answer that I would.
By the way, at the beginning, he did literally want to record every day. I was like, dude, we just can't record every day. But he did.
Yeah.
And come to find out with all this, I mean, that's kind of the reason why, right? Is he just wanted to talk more, and it doesn't even have to be about the topic, but to piggyback on Eric, number one, I'm a huge proponent of no medication. Like, I just don't think,
Right.
I just, depending, there's probably some things out there that maybe warrant it, but I just don't think that's a fix. I've actually, because we've had a lot go on in our lives in the last year, like I do, we've talked about being assholes and all that. Like, I actually, I got a life coach, and he's actually a retired firefighter. So he's amazing to talk to. You don't sit there and go, well, how's that make you feel? He just talks it out with you and says, okay, well, how are we going to address it? What are we going to do? And then he's like, I'm not going to give you the answers, but I'll give you ideas on how we can get there. And that's been the thing. I think, sometimes you hear the term life coach and you're like, oh, come on, dude, whatever. Like, they're just a glorified therapist. They're way cheaper,
Right.
first off. And yes, they don't have a degree in it, but some of them are just good conversationalists, right? Like, being able, it's like Eric having to do the show every day. It's just somebody else to talk to and that is willing to listen and talk to you about stuff. And yeah, you're having to pay for it, but it's well worth the money. And I feel like I'm not anywhere I need to be, but it's definitely helping me and teaching me to look at things a little differently.
Yeah. I mean, how do you put a price on, understanding and happiness?
Well, and for me, talking to a guy who, is a firefighter and seen things, he's a 20-year guy who retired due to, unfortunately, back issues. And he's like, yeah, I just struggled to get through everything I was going through. And so I started looking at the life coach thing. I had a great life coach. And then he's like, I just felt like I could do the same for others. And guy's been a huge, huge help.
You know what? And in my way of thinking, talk to me. I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to be analyzed by somebody.
Yeah.
Based on, here's what the books say. Here's what medical statistics say. No, I'm a human being. Let's communicate with one another on the same plane. I mean, man.
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
And let's talk.
Yeah, and that's what he does, is he just talks to you. He's not, trying to be some crazy analytical.
Not trying to get to some diagnosis.
He'll help you work through it and just talk about, all right, well, what can you do differently? Like, if you go through that situation, let's look at, all right, here's your options, but how do we get you to deal? He's all, it's easy to say we'll get there, but how do we get you to do it that way?
Yeah.
I'm kind of to the point. I'm kind of to the point where I feel like the medication is the medication that the VA gives, anyways, is kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You know what I'm saying? It's you're doing something about it, but you're not really helping the situation.
Yeah, you're sitting there and you're just like trying to cover up, and you can't fix an inside wound by just throwing meds at it, man. You can't.
And
I mean, it just
that's what I was
doesn't work.
saying. You want to take care of why you're the action. You're acting like an asshole. Well, here, take this pill. It's going to. But you're not.
It's always going to change.
Yeah, and real quick is to back up to what Mike said when he said he started going to a life coach. I was like, "Fuck, man, I'm gonna suck as a friend." Like, I thought I was his life coach. Like, I thought I was the go-to guy, right? I mean, I was
That's
like,
my job.
like life coach. Like, dude, you're nuts. So real quick, we went back and talked about, or you asked the question about how we bring in some guests and stuff like that. I feel like my mic's not.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. So, I had to reach out to 22 Mohawks. Cool name. Everyone had a Mohawk, and they had asked for, hey, man, we want to put this thing together of memorials and things. And I reached out to them about being on the show. They're like, hey, that's cool, but we got this program going on. We want to talk to you about your dad. And I'm like, okay, send us where he was at and what he did, and they sent me back this here. I don't know if it's going to be able to.
You may have to post it. No, it's unfortunately it's blurred.
Is it blurred? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll post a picture of it, and it's basically stand tall in the face of adversity. It's got a bunch of different sayings on it. It's got my dad's That's my dad right there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, 22 Mohawks did this up for me, and it's probably the only second time that it's been on the show, with us. But yeah, no, I mean it's one of those things where you got to talk about it. You got to tell, hey, my dad committed suicide, so is it a sad thing? Absolutely, but I'm also pissed at him too. It's
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How do you deal with that? I mean, we're in the kind of topic right now of dealing with things. How do you deal with that? Because you can't just hide it, right?
Well, yeah, you can, but then you're going to break down because you're listening to something, or you're realizing that when he did shoot himself, that he had four graduations that he missed out on. He's got 2 twin nieces that were going through graduation along with my daughter, and then my other daughter was graduating, and my brother's kids, and there was just so much going on to live for. But the fact that he was proud, and it was hard for him to breathe, and he was walking around with an oxygen tank, he didn't want to live that life,
Well, and the process he went through, because you could tell he thought it out, and that's
for sure. I mean, he wrapped his head in a towel. They're building a house in Golden Shores, Arizona, where my cousin lives. Semper Fi, bud. And they had a little RV parked, and they went that morning to solidify some of the details of the house, the color and tiles and all that crap. And I just think it was a bad day for him, moving and going over here and going there and doing stuff and not being able to breathe. And I just think, that was the day he chose. He just couldn't deal with it anymore. So, I mean, I'm pissed. I'm driving, with my sister to Arizona to pick up my mom and stuff. And I'm pissed. Like, I'm crying, but I'm pissed. And I'm like, no, F this guy. Like, why would he drag my mom all the way out there? Away from our family, even though he was with my cousin back there. Like, it just, you get pissed, and then you get sad, and then you get happy. I mean, really, I don't go through therapy other than what we do here on the show. And I love hearing the stories, but
well,
with
whose song got you?
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I was just saying, Shannon Book had a song, and I'm like, I heard it 100 times, and I can't even tell you the name of this song right now because I'm going to look it up. But it literally was one of those songs where you're like, you heard it, and it was a cool song, right?
You guys played it on your show, right?
Yeah.
Episode.
Yeah. And, it was a cool song, and it was cool lyrics, but you never listened to it. And I think people nowadays just don't stop and listen to things. And when I did, man, I'm like, damn. And then, if you watched it,
the mom song, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
The mom?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you kind of choked up when
absolutely.
When you heard that, and you were like, I don't usually break down much, but
yeah, I can kind of hold it together, but yeah, Dear Mom.
Yeah, Dear Mom.
It was a Dear Mom.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I can sit here and yeah, great song. I mean, great guy. We haven't had him on enough. We'll have to revisit his story too, and see what he's been doing.
Hilarious dude, great story. Cut off toes with the lawnmower. I mean, like crazy stuff. So, yeah, and the way he tells the story is like he didn't even flinch. But that was, I can count. I think it's 3 times on the show where Eric's definitely something's got him. I mean, the birthday show. The
birthday got a notebook going on?
No, I know. It's just, when assholes break down, we got to pay attention, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a great episode too. The birthday.
Yeah,
episode.
the birthday one.
I don't know. I feel like you need to.
You
I feel like you need to have a
say hey and happy birthday, and that was cool, man.
Yeah. Well, Mikey did that because I pissed him off because I took my date off of Facebook that tells you when you're, when the dude's
You didn't piss me off. I was messing with everybody else. That's what was funny. Because we're both those guys, like, for your birthday, Facebook, you put your birthday on there. We both shut it off. Yeah. Because I don't want fake SV. And even with my wife, like I told her, because my birthday was earlier this month, and I'm like, just if you're gonna post, don't post till later on, because then all the fake people come out. And I'm not that guy. Like, if you can't text me and say happy birthday or you don't know it, then it's not worth it, right? I mean, That's the way I feel
If
about
you
it.
don't know, you know.
We were about to get some influence and some big words from TJ. So TJ, what were you going to
Oh
say?
yes, sorry.
No, I really just want to get together with you after this show, and I think we should write a book. And the title of it is going to be "When Assholes Break Down."
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be a great idea. That's just to kind of like follow the day of an asshole and what happens when they break down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe like a documentary, like a docu-series or something like that.
Yeah.
Docu-series, that'd be good, man.
Tonight
Like,
Absolutely.
on When
docu-series.
Assholes Break Down.
On Dateline.
What got these guys today?
Yeah, what was it that got them to break down today? That'd be
Put a little temperature gauge next to him.
yeah. That'd
Oh,
right.
he's ready to blow.
You think that's a thing, where you can just like watch it raise like mercury in the glass, and you can
I
see
think-
it.
Oh,
For me, I think you can see it, you can watch it. I think Eric's
See his
seen it
cheeks?
a couple times. Yeah. Well, my cheeks
See
are
his cheeks?
always red, dude. That's the part that kills me. But before the show, if things aren't going right, like
Oh,
audio's freaking out, dude, I'll have a meltdown.
dude, I
I'll
don't even
just-
want to knock on the door because I know he's busy doing stuff, and I'm just like, I wish I just had a password. I wish I just had a password. I could just walk in.
Just
Let's
like
be
a
all-
little- you should just come up with a certain knock.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't even want to bother him. That's the thing. I'll let myself in. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, it's not at that point. It's once we sit down and then Eric's not very techie. So then if something's
learning,
not
but
going
yeah,
right,
I'm not. I'm
you are.
not.
You've gotten. I mean,
I mean,
he's all the way logged in by himself now. So we're
yeah.
doing
Look at
good.
me go.
That's a win, man. You're just moving up in the world.
Well,
Well,
what's funny?
Here's the trick: is next time, whenever you leave, before you leave, just unlock the window, and then next time, whenever you come back, just slide on in.
See, the problem is now he has a computer here. Like, so my desk is set up, and then I have a computer for him kind of on the edge of my desk. And
Yeah.
if I leave it on, his texting is connected. So then I'll hear bing, 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 bing. I can't see it
Goes
because
off.
the computer is locked. So I have to make sure it's turned off. But I
See,
turn
but
it
then-
on before he gets here. So I turn it back on before he gets here. So
Perfect. He's a
I
perfect.
take the
host.
steps out.
Yeah, you're like
perfect
you're like
host.
perfect. You just nail it every time.
Oh, I don't know.
Don't
about that.
touch nothing. All you gotta do is log in. Just click here, and you're don't touch nothing. Don't
Or-
do nothing.
Or we get on there and there's all sorts of echo. Dude, might
what is it?
mute your freaking computer, mute
Wait.
your phone.
Bro, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I can't tell you how many times me and TJ have had technical difficulties, and it's such like a long process because we're not in the same place. So
Yeah.
it's just sitting there like, I don't know if you tried shutting it off and turned it back on because that usually
Can't
works.
throw it down.
You know? Like,
Well, that was
and
like
try to-
earlier. Yeah. So I logged in on my phone. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're doing. I logged in, boom, opened it, put this in, done. He goes, yeah, I don't know what you're doing. And then I realized he was on the computer. I'm like, oh, well, yeah,
Because
Click-
all I had to do is put my name
that.
in.
sucker.
I was like, why are you downloading anything? What the hell?
What do you mean he had to download
Yeah.
something for this?
Yeah.
Well,
And then it asked-
he was on his phone, and phones you don't have.
Yeah, you have to
Yep.
you have to download the Riverside app for
Yep.
phones and
Yep.
iPads.
Yep. So that's why I was like, what are you doing? And then he's like, oh, I'm doing it for my
What are
phone.
you
I'm like,
doing,
oh,
step bro?
exactly.
That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Did you just say step bro?
I did. We did
Oh
step
my
bro.
goodness. We don't want to go down the step siblings route. They might get stuck in a dryer or something.
Yeah.
I'm stuck. I can't get out.
I'm gonna play with this drum set.
I
Uh,
can't. But
yeah. So we
anyways,
do have some. I was going online and looking at our junior college here in Modesto, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a mental health class, dude. There's so much bull crap in there. I'm like, dude, forget it. I'm just gonna go down to the VA and see if they have like a civilian mental health program and just sit in there and be like, yeah, I'm not here for nothing but just to listen to you guys.
you could probably learn a lot of what not to do by going to the VA.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
That's where.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's some good things happening at the VA, but unfortunately, they're just so overdone
Yeah, they're
that it
overpacked,
is.
They're over,
Yeah, it.
they don't have
so
enough
unfortunately-
workers.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
instead of giving 10 billion to other countries, we could give, you know, and I made this analogy. Like, have you guys heard the analogy of the difference between million and billion just in time?
No.
So
I
a
can't say
million
that.
seconds is 12 minutes. A million seconds is 12 minutes.
That's
A
crazy to think about.
billion seconds is 31 years.
Whoa. That's crazy to think about.
So imagine the Ukraine's getting $10 billion on top of the 40 something billion they've already got, when we could turn and give them 9 billion and give 1 billion to the veterans. And imagine how you could overhaul the whole VA with $1 billion.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
you could
crazy,
literally
man.
turn it around.
That's just
and-
wild
That's
to
pretty
think
wild.
about.
And the craziest thing is that my dad was at the VA in Palo Alto, which is right next to Stanford, right? It's literally Stanford's right down the street. So the VA in Palo Alto actually gets a lot of Stanford doctors. And unfortunately, they get like graduate assistants. So my dad had, you know, he had a surgery to put a tube in his lungs, and it was a Stanford doctor comes in and does it. So you're thinking, oh, he's going to get the best. And then he had some infections and then all that. And I'm like, dude, Stanford doctor, like, I thought we were supposed to have like some of the best, because Stanford has its own hospital right there. That's supposed to be one of the best hospitals in the state, let alone, I mean, the country. And, you know, I'm sitting there going, oh, my dad's going to get great care. No, I mean, I always tell the story of when he was getting chemo. My wife is an absolute pit bull. Like, she went to the VA, got a waiver for my dad to go to a local place here, because our VA office is 2.5 hours without traffic, 4 hours with traffic. Right.
Mhm.
And so we got a waiver for him to do his chemo here in town. His chemo was 4 hours long the whole time. He went from being on oxygen to being able to get back up and walk around, drive again, everything, for a good 1.5 years, almost 2 years, after like 6 or 7 months of just being bedridden. And then the VA came along and said, we're not honoring the waiver anymore. So we take him to his first VA appointment to get his chemo. His chemo's 10 minutes. I'm like, what the hell? So we ask, and they're like, oh, it's, you know, we just went from 4-hour chemos to coming to you and getting 10 minutes. And I shit you not, like 3 months later, he passed away.
Oh my God. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's
Yeah.
And it was,
crazy.
you know, so, you know, I don't ever want to bag on the VA, but how do you tell me that he was going through 4 hours of chemo and doing well, and then all of a sudden he goes to you and he's 10 minutes of chemo, and then, you know, within 3 months he's gone? Because
Yeah, I mean, that's just insane to think about. And that's kind of the big problem that we have, you know. It seems like they're just overworked and they don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
well, and they think about it, they were already struggling with Vietnam, Korea, and World War II vets, right? And then here
Right.
comes Iraq and Afghanistan vets, and you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of them as an influx. You know, they just weren't ready when they had already had the numbers from Vietnam. Because
Yeah.
you go to most VA offices, that's what you're seeing is a ton of Vietnam. Like, you just see, you know, Vietnam hats everywhere.
right.
Yeah. I'm always.
Well, me and my
I'm
wife
always
talked
trying
about
to-
this last night, and she was like, you know, you're not afraid of nothing. And I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, the one thing that really scares me is having a procedure done at the VA. Because
Yeah.
every time I do it, I'm like, well, should I go to the VA or should I just kind of YouTube this and let you do it to me?
Clip that, please.
I feel like it's kind of the same shit, you know?
Oh, man.
I can clip that for sure. That's going to be a clip. That was at 53 minutes.
There You want viewers, that's gonna get it to you right there.
This is why.
Does
I
it go
love
to VA or
people,
have you
man.
do it, honey? You're gonna put that leaf in the. You're gonna put that leaf in the
That's-
table, right? Well, keep
That's
my feet
100%
up.
Fair,
true
I've
story,
been
though.
thinking about letting my dad try to do what do you call that? Vasectomy. Is that
Yeah.
what that's called?
Oh boy.
I've been thinking about letting him.
Hey, you
shoot
just
me.
need a good scalpel and a soldering iron. That's all.
That-
I mean,
That's the one that I wouldn't let my wife do. But the rest of them, you know.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
you
100%
trust-
true story, by the way. I really, really did have a conversation last night.
My
That's
mom
awesome.
just said Dr. Pole can teach him.
Dr. Pole. Yeah.
He watches a lot of Dr. Pole.
Oh,
Really
it's
comes
on,
down
yeah.
to just a rubber band.
Hey, I got that little rubber band pliers. You know,
There you
Yeah.
go. That's all you
go-to
need, man.
stuff.
It's all
All
you
you
need.
need.
dude.
Dry
gotta-
and fall off in about 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Then you slice them up, batter them, dip them in some marinara sauce. and
Yeah,
there you go.
we talked
Oh
about
my
that
God.
too. We talked about Rocky Mountain oysters.
Hell yeah.
Apparently, the Portuguese part of the
That's-
Eric Mello family, we had
that's
some.
actually what his shirt says.
My shirt
Oh,
got a Rocky Mountain oysters, the original sack lunch.
there you go. That
That's
is
nuts.
awesome.
Hey, well, and that's
It
funny
is
'cause
nuts.
we were-
Technically,
we-
it is really.
it is nuts.
It is nuts. Yeah.
We were talking to guys in Nebraska about it too.
Yeah.
That's what, man, Nebraska loves them balls.
Oh,
man, we love Rocky Mountain oysters, man. You do them right, they are good to go. I am
Yeah.
all about it.
Speaking
So
of
call 'em cat
Nebraska,
fries.
we're going to do that. We're going out there. I'm just making that decision right now. September 9th, we're going to go
Yeah.
out there.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
man.
but I
I'll-
got- too
I'm
bad
gonna
I got a
drive
real
up to
job.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
And I'll see you guys. That'd be
Well,
be
and that's
awesome.
that's somebody you guys can talk to is Jason Steiner, and Jesse Cunningham, who are the guys who are kind of running the event.
Yeah, I'd love to. If we could,
Especially with you being in Nebraska,
yeah, if we
Oh,
could get
gosh,
that info,
yeah.
that'd be incredible, man.
Yeah. We'll shoot.
Eric's been on fire with people in Nebraska. I don't know why we've had like multiple guests in
I
Nebraska.
don't even know. Yeah,
It's a
it's
great
been really
state,
well.
man.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing to do that but grow corn and be on podcast.
Yeah.
Are there any
That's it.
trees
That's
in
all-
Nebraska?
that's all- yeah, there's trees.
Trees.
We have
Is there?
Halsey Forest.
Oh, we did have burned down.
Well, yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
We had.
Thanks for
Halsey
the
Forest.
honesty. I'm gonna talk to my real estate agent here.
What happened to the fire department there? They couldn't take care of that.
You couldn't get there fast enough.
It was too late, man. It was too,
Like,
They
you got
were
that
too
4
busy
acre
making-
forest.
they were too busy with corn whiskey. They couldn't get to the fire at the time.
Hey, it's fermenting right now. We can't deal with anything else.
Yeah, hold on. It's about done. I've got 10 more minutes.
Oh,
wait,
shit.
10 more
That damn
days.
kindling.
10 more days. I'll get to it. They
Oh,
just didn't
shoot.
care, man.
Unless the
Priorities.
forest was farther than Denver, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because, well, Lincoln and Denver are about the same distance wise from where I'm at.
Okay.
Omaha's a little bit further. So,
Okay.
Omaha.
good old Omaha,
Nice.
man. But Lincoln's, it's a good place. No, yeah, no, Nebraska's got, there's a ton of things going on all the time. I love it, man. But I've got like a million questions bouncing around in my head right now, and I'm just like trying
Throw
to
it. Go for it.
Focus.
point. But now I figure instead of doing that, I'll just ask TJ if he's got any good questions because this is the most quiet he's been in a minute. This is
Yeah,
is
but he's
worth
got two
like-
clip-worthy clips right there.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got two great
Dude.
clips.
Solid.
He's got a
Man,
great
there's
beard
just-
right now.
There's I get a beard, once a month or so. No, we just got a lot of going on, so many people on tonight. Try not to make it overwhelming. But I don't know, man. I got a lot of questions for you guys, really. I think, who would you say was one of the most informative? I don't want to say like you're put you on the spot for you to pick your best guest or
Favorite?
anything like that. Yeah, but
My
like
favorite guest.
I'm talking about like for when it comes to like mental health and stuff like that. Did you have anybody like perhaps like a doctor or somebody who's dealt with a lot of shit or anything like that?
We've had a lot of people that wanted to be doctors. Take care of
All
stuff
right.
out in the. Actually, we did. We had Zach.
Yeah, Zach was a
Mr.
medic,
Mountain Coffee. He was a medic.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
but he didn't talk.
Um,
We didn't really talk too much about
yeah,
mental
we
health
didn't get-
because he was Coast Guard.
Yeah.
What did you go ahead?
Man, who would be our most formative? Well, I think 22 Mohawks. I think Dave and Stacy had a lot of information. They've been the biggest voice out there so far. Up into, there's something that's coming along that Mike and Tom have been working on. And when that drops, it's going to be really beneficial for a lot of people. But I think as far as our guest wise, Dave and Stacy, man, there's a lot of information that they do, and there's a ton of stuff that they do in the public. You know, they're back there in Massachusetts and stuff, and
Right.
you know, they're trying to get a 22 Mohawk skydiving day.
Well, they just did.
They did something. Yeah, I saw that.
They've been working
Yeah.
this last week on
I
a
think
jump.
I think they're saying like Labor Day they're going to try to get the jump across the states.
Yeah.
You said Mike and Tom. Who are they?
That's
So
so
Mike-
that's me.
Mike Ellick and Tom Ettinger, they're working on something. We can't really say anything yet because
Well,
okay.
it's
so-
working up. It's
I got you.
So I will say to
Who are we
Eric's
throwing
point,
under the bus?
yeah, Dave and Stacy are absolutely phenomenal. Because I think 22 Mohawks in all the people we've talked to, they're probably the ones doing the most, and right
Yeah.
now have the largest resources. For me, I mean, I think I call them the twins because they look alike, but Sean Laurie and Tom Ettinger, because they're both of them are kind of, and I want to be careful to use the word influencers, but they do a lot of inspirational, conversation videos kind of things, right? And addressing mental health. But for me, I will say it's Tom, because I think he was the first person to get on our show. And this is what caught my attention it was just so real. Like the moment was so real. And he literally kind of got pissed off. And he's like, look, like awareness is bullshit. It's bullshit. We're always making everybody aware, quote unquote, like everything's about awareness. We need to start like doing something.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
And he said it's easy to talk about it. It's harder to really get out there and do something about it. And there's very few places or people really doing something about it. And I hope, people get caught on the fact that I hope people think we're trying to do something about it, because we talk to people. By us trying to talk to, you guys and Tom and Sean and 22 Mohawks, people hear your stories, right? They hear the things you've gone through and they go, man, I went through something like that. Look where they're at. And that's the goal. But to what Eric's talking to, so Tom on our show mentioned, he wanted to do this thing. And I kind of like, if you go back and watch, I'm like, okay, shut up. Like I literally told him, shut up.
Talking about it.
Like, stop talking. I'm like, I got you. We are going to make it happen. Like because he was so passionate about the actions instead of awareness, then it made me feel like, dude, I got to help this guy, because he's a Marine Corps. He's a Marine Corps guy. He'll claim, he's not techie. He's not in anything. I don't claim myself as techie, but I can figure things out. And so he has a great idea for some technology to, hopefully make the world a lot smaller for veterans, right? Like, if Derek's having a rough day, he can use this technology to make the world around him a lot smaller, because maybe Chief's not around or maybe TJ's not available. Like now you take away some of his resources. Now he's like, okay, shit, I'm on my own, and if we have a technology that's right there with him, we can make his world smaller and make him hopefully not make the wrong decision and help him make some right decisions. But we're, we had Tom on this week. He's actually launching his own podcast called Every Second Counts.
Awesome.
So he's gonna be really focused on talking to veterans and mental health, and I think he's gonna use it as kind of his platform to help himself, as well as using it to hopefully get some more guidance on the technology piece. And then we are hopefully next week we are launching the Sit Rep 22 clothing line.
Awesome.
So we'll have
That's
2
incredible.
t-shirts, and I don't want to say it's like Till Valhalla, but we're gonna have some shirts. It's a lot of them, they're all gonna have the Sit Rep 22 logo on them. But there's like the mantra is turning words into action.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
and
awesome.
the war on veteran suicide. So, and that's what I'm like, that's become the true passion. And then it kind of revitalized me for our show, because I was I'll be honest, like when I got sick, I was like, man, the show's just kind of bringing me down. And then that revitalized me and said, okay, I'm just being kind of a bitch and need to get
Then
out
you
of
realize how much money we've invested in this thing, and
my well money
Yeah, then he was like,
and how
he's
how
like,
much we're not
"God, I
making.
put
and-
so
How much we're
money
not
into this.
making, yeah.
I need to get something out of this."
Yeah. So obviously, Tommy, you got the message. I just sent you Tom's information. Reach out.
Sure.
He should be in your next couple shows. He's that.
Absolutely, that'd be.
he's got
amazing
some
if we
great
could,
information
I'll
and
reach out to him for sure.
yeah, man, such a good.
he could
genuine-
talk.
You want,
He could
oh
talk.
God, yeah. And he'll
Let's
talk about his
see.
goats.
I might try to. I'll try to tone mine down then. So
Yeah, he
give me a
better.
chance
Yeah,
to
he better
talk.
bet.
TJ's got to back off.
Yeah.
That's actually something me and TJ have been big on too, is trying to figure out like how to put it into action and do a little bit more. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm actually looking to try to get a ruck march set up and do that here in North Palm and start getting the community more involved. I've
Yeah.
been talking to some people about maybe doing like a news station or something like that for the veteran community.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of things that are kind of in the works, but it's just I'm right there with you. I mean, it's how do we take this from being awareness to putting it into action? Like it's just there's a million different ways to do it. Trying to figure out
Yeah.
the right way to do it's hard sometimes.
It's just
Well,
getting
we
started.
all
You know,
we all
it's just
we all
getting
know the
started.
number, right? The number, everybody talks about the number. In talking to, because Dave and Stacy are kind of helping with the technology piece right now. Because I don't know if Dave mentioned he's actually working on his master's right now. But he is really, Dave's really focused on, is the 22 number even right? And
Yeah,
because
that's something we've been big on
Oh.
talking about too. It's not.
right, and a lot of people feel like it's actually higher, right? So it's because they don't feel like they're getting recorded the right way. So Dave's trying to come up with a database to figure out how can we figure out every single death and then
More
have a
accurate.
way of addressing them and finding out a little more about that person and what led them down that path. Because if we
That's
can learn
incredible.
their journey, then we can start to attack at the root and hopefully stop it. That's
Well,
Incredible,
so-
man.
It's we talk about this all the time. Eric and I both. He's a mutual friend of ours who just recently took his life. He was in the Marine Corps, and I talked to. It was a couple days ago. One of my buddies called me, and I talked to him, and they were going to his funeral, and so it was him and another one of my friends was at his house, and they were drinking and stuff. So they called me, and we talked for a little while, and we're like, what do we do about this? And I was like, shit, I don't know, man. Like, we really don't know what to do. That's where everybody's at. We don't know what the fuck's going on. We don't know how to fix it or how to help really, other than trying to reach out and talk to people and stuff like that. And he was like, the one thing that I hate hearing at all these funerals is that, well, guys, I'm, glad that we're all here and we're all together and this is how we help. And I'm like, well, instead of hearing it, all of us here together now at a funeral, why don't we just all get together and before we have to be here at a funeral? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, the other guy that was at my buddy's house was saying, he's like, man, I talked to him like 2 days before he took his life, and I was trying to get him to move over here with me. I was like, I had a job for him and had all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, like life's not that bad, man. Just come live with us, like come over here and we'll do something for you. And he was like, but I don't know what else to do. And I was like, I'm in the same boat, man. Like I really don't know what you do about it.
Well, and I mean the realism, the five of us, we're not necessarily, maybe Chief is trained in some things, but the rest of us, we're not trained to deal with that. We would just say what comes from our heart or from our own experiences. So and that's the hope is, can we do something to change that? Because first off, professionals, let's be real, you guys as veterans, you don't want to hear well, how's that make you feel?
Like shit, bitch, that's why I'm here. No.
Exactly. It's not something you want to hear. So that's what makes it harder, is how do you get through to them? And Man, I'll tell you, just with my COVID, kind of a funny thing with when I was in the hospital for COVID, all the nurses are politely telling me to sleep on my stomach, right? To lay down on my stomach, because that helps flattens out your lungs and opens up your lungs better. Well, me being fat guy, I'm like, I don't want to lay on my stomach. That's uncomfortable. Like I'm not laying on my stomach. Nobody's telling me that it actually makes a difference. And then I had this respiratory therapist that walks in and he's all tatted up and he sees all my tattoos. He's like, look, fucker, if you don't fucking turn over and get on your goddamn stomach for more than 12 hours a day, you're going to die. Is that what you want? And finally I was like, no. Okay. But
Roger
the nurses were like, hey, could you turn over? And I didn't listen to them because I didn't take them seriously, because they didn't make it life or death for me. Right.
Yeah, they didn't, explain how serious the situation is, because they're trying not to hurt your feelings or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to die. So hurt my feelings, if it means me not dying, hurt my feelings, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But that being said, I mean, we can kind of wrap things up. We're at an hour and 10. I'm sure you guys got things that are better to do than
I ain't got nobody home, man.
So.
Yeah, but I do. You
Sunday
can have
night,
Eric all night.
Yeah. No, I know you do. Technically, it's my Sunday night. I start in the morning at like 3:15. So,
from being on your show, I brought up then at the end of every show, we like to go through everybody and ask what they took from the episode.
mm-hmm.
So I'll start with Mike this time instead of Eric having to go first.
As my dogs are barking because we just had like a firecracker go off or something.
Heck yeah.
What did I take? And why am I getting an echo? What did I take away? I think our conversation on mental health, and since it was kind of one of the last things we talked about, is really taking those actions or those words and turning them into actions. I think that's my biggest thing. And I would like to see, our show as a collective with you guys and everybody else we talk to, like, just really make that our new mantra is words into actions.
Yeah, I like that, man.
Because that's what needs to change now.
I like that.
That's cool and all. But yeah, no, it's the service thing, right? I mean, that the one thing that I've taken away is we're here to give back, right? I mean, we say that we're not from the military. We've gotten a lot of stories. We've understood the words that have been spoken to us, but it's the action. Like, words are great, but again, we're focusing at we needed to do it, put it in motion, put it in action, go out and do it. Even if a guy's holding a sign and he says, hey, I'm a veteran. Hey, man, what do you need, dude? Like, are you lying to me? I'm not going to ask the question. Hey, dude, you're something. It's just the action of helping somebody. It's just the action. And so just to piggyback off of Mike, that's not really what my takeaway was. We don't talk about suicides enough. We don't make it a normal mainstream topic.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
TJ, what'd you take?
Well, I think really for a lot of this I feel like you guys were trying to, you said you didn't want to use like acronyms, like military terminology, because you guys don't want to feel like you're, stolen valor and everything. Well, fuck those people if that's how they're going to be. You guys are out here doing your thing, and you're trying to help the veteran community and everybody else. And if you saying that shit offends them, then, fuck them. Just, you guys do your thing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great things. You have a lot of very informative guests, and I mean, shit, just overall, you're just doing great things. So
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Chief. You've been listening this whole time. Let's hear your takeaway from the episode.
Hey, you know what, guys? You represent and you demonstrate just by what you're doing, putting words into action. Yeah, there's a lot of talk goes on, but that is action, because at the end of the day, I really believe if you can engage somebody at the very basic level of conversation, you may it may not start out that they come into that conversation thinking they're going to open up and spill their guts, but just engaging them at that very simple level may very well lead to that breakthrough when they find out they've got an ear and somebody that really genuinely cares about what they're saying and what they're feeling. So, man, kudos to all you guys for what you're doing out here, because it's effective and it's working. I guarantee it is.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
He's so good at that, isn't he?
God
is.
dang, man.
I feel
wanna run through that
motivated.
damn one. Oh shit.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
just
I'm
wanna
like-
get up and do something.
Yeah. I just wanna go. Yeah.
Hang on, guys. I'm gonna go do some pull-ups real quick and just.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm gonna go think about TJ doing pull-ups real quick.
Well, hey, let me get my plane ticket. I'll go watch him. Okay.
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
Captain One Upper.
Hey, that's action. That's taking action. right
Yeah.
that's action.
Yeah, that
saying.
is.
Taking action.
That is. Damn it.
Yeah. I can kind of piggyback on Mike and Eric, and I think it's not the only takeaway. I had a lot of takeaways from the million billion thing. Blew my mind, by the way.
Yeah.
Which was just unbelievable. Getting to kind of hear everything that you guys have been through too, and everything that's brought your podcast to be what it is. It's so cool for me to hear. But yeah, I like the action. Make action instead of words, and get out there and do something about it. And like we always say, even if that's simple as just texting somebody you haven't checked in on in a while, that's more than nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, get out there, reach out. I think a lot of us, speaking from my own experience, I'll get lonely, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, damn, be nice if I had someone to talk to,
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Hey,
if
I know of
had-
a Facebook group you can reach
Dude.
out to.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just saying.
I got a phone number. You got my phone number. Give me a call, man. I'm up at
Heck
3
yeah,
o'clock
man.
this time, so I don't know. I can't add 5:30. Yeah, whatever.
Heck yeah, man.
I mean,
And I'm the same way with everyone. If
Yeah.
anyone ever needs anything, they can reach out to me anytime. And trying to build those resources and connections the best we can, and really get out there and start doing that action. And I love that. That was a huge takeaway, and I love it. I really do.
Yeah.
With that being said, we'll wrap up the episode, and I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you coming on, taking the time out of your day to just bullshit with us and have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, we
This
appreciate it
has
as
been
well.
fun,
Well-
man. I love talking to you guys every time
Yeah.
I get to talk to you.
Yeah, you guys
yeah, well, I
fucking
want to thank you guys for letting us come on, Shadow Mark, and think you have a great page too. I love going on there, and 566 strong right now. Shadow Mark
Yeah, dude.
Society of Misfits, baby,
Yeah,
lifting
dude,
everybody
it's
up,
awesome.
right?
Dude, some of the best memes you ever come across.
Oh man,
We got
Dank
some
ass
dank-ass
memes.
memes. Isn't that good?
yeah. No, hey, we appreciate you guys reaching out and having us on for sure. And your action now is this podcast. And we're gonna work together, and we'll get you some guests on there, and whatever we can do.
Yeah, we'd love that, man. It'd be
Yeah,
great just to.
Yeah.
It's great to have the resources and to
Yeah.
really expand that group, because one of the best things we can do is come together. And for me, this is all just like family. It
Yeah.
really is.
For sure.
Well, and one of the things, sorry, Derek, is
Go,
I'm
fine.
proud of what Eric's done, because we've gotten some people who've never been on podcasts before, right? And they have,
that's
and
incredible.
they're always telling us, "Oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know why anybody wants to hear my story." And then they end up being the best storytellers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Taylor
Yeah.
from Vets with Guitars,
yeah.
just her story about her dad
Gosh, dang.
being a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps, and it was her prom, and her boyfriend or date walked up, and it looked like they had his label on the door of their house, right? They have his title on there, and the boyfriend walks up, is your dad a gynecologist? Because I guess it was like GYN or something for gunnery sergeant. Yeah. So she's like, no, just don't talk, please. Don't
Yeah.
talk to my dad whatsoever, please. Instead of being a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps, like,
That's
yeah, I dare you to
fantastic.
go tell a gunnery sergeant, are you a gynecologist?
kind of the same
fantastic,
thing.
man.
There's
They're
similarities.
pretty close. They both look at pussies all day. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. That's funny. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff of what makes this stuff great too, is you get, people like TJ who you got to stuff them back in their shell, right? And
Yeah, man,
just say,
I'm
sit down
sorry,
and be
man.
quiet. So we appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, we're out of here. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks,
I
guys.
can't